Hi, in this video I'll try to list out all those important topics we can call Python syllabus that makes us good Python programmers. If you are learning the Python the first time or you already learned a few topics, definitely it should help you to list out all those important topics. See, being the Python now has almost become a number one language, and it is a user-friendly, high-level and extensively useful in wide variety of applications, starting from the basic applications to up to artificial intelligence and the database management to the web applications, wide variety of applications. Now, what are all the important topics? There are a lot of topics is that I'll try to list out what are the important topics that is required to develop good Python programming. First topic, we need to get started with the basics of Python. If you have the programming background, that means you have any other languages you are already familiar with. It may be a C, C++ or Java. It's a one or more than one language. Then definitely Python is a cakewalk for you, because it's compared to those languages, it's the easiest, straightforward, and a lot of libraries is available. You need not to do a lot of coding here. If you don't have the programming knowledge, then also you need not to worry, but you need to really practice a lot of programs that makes Python learning easy. Now, Python being a scripting language and it is interpreted, we don't have all those basic requirements what we see in other languages, starting with headers or precursors and then start with a main and then start the coding. Here straight away from the first line itself we can start coding. Under the basic part of the Python, we are going to see all those important keywords, how to create the variables, how to assign the values. We call the data as an objects here. So what is the meaning of an object, how the memory will be allocated, what are the data types, because dynamic in that explicitly we do not define or use the data types, automatically it will be assigned. That is what the dynamic. And I'm not going for the details of individual topics here. Maybe I'll try to cover those things in some other videos. So data types and the typecasting, all those things what we are going to cover in the basics. Importantly, the syntactical things and the language specifics. Now the second topic is very, very important, that is operators. See, as I told you, if you are coming from some other language, almost 30 to 40% of the content what you see in other language, it remains same here also in Python. Now most of the operators what we have in other languages we have here, that include arithmetic operators, logical operators, assignment operators, and we have a bitwise operators, membership operators, all those things, and some extra special operators. That's what if you want to do any meaningful operation, definitely we need to understand the operators. Now next one, we need to cover the control statements. Here where the real the control or the structure programming coming to a picture. So if you want to run the few statement, and if you want to bypass the few statement, or if you want to run a number of statements many times. So Python also is a structured language. This is where the structure gets started. So under the control statements we have two different types. One is a conditional and one is a loops or iterators. And under the conditional we cover the if else, nested if, and else if. And under the loops or iterators we have for and while. Two important logics here we don't have in Python. One is switch case under the selection statement, and do while loop under the loops. That what we see in other languages. Now Next one, another very important data that what very frequently we use in Python is a strings. So strings are very much used in program development, and we have very good compatibility with other datas. So that means we can work with the strings with other datas, conversions will happen. So all those important functions that makes strings are powerful and work with a character data. So that's what we are going to see in a strings. Now next topic, very important. This is the one topic that stands out compared to other even languages like a C++ and Java, where we consider it's a high-level languages. That is what we call it as the sequences collections. Of course, there are a lot of other names also comes to this one. Data structures, derived data types, all this. Importantly, I will put it as sequences collection. There is a group of data put together, how we are going to handle. If you go for the C++ and Java, we have very important topics there, arrays and structures, that what makes grouping of data. But here we have wide variety of data types that we can group the data. The first one under this, we have a list. Next we have a tuple. Next we have a set, and then we have a dictionary. Such a featured one really makes the programming is so easy and so effective. So all these collections. Next one we are going to cover, important as learning of Python, is the functions. This is the important topic to make code reusability. That means write once the set of statements and you run n number of times. That is what the function, because nowadays program development has become very large in terms of lines, and the many operations it has to perform. So how we are going to segregate all those operations under few sections. That's what function. And in associate to the functions, we have one more topic that is also important, that is the modules and packages. So maybe we need to create n number of the functions, how we are going to put all those functions together, how we are going to access into the program, how this all code reusability operations will happen. That is what the complete functions as well as the modules and packages we are trying to understand. And the next topic, we have a file operations, file IO we call. If you want to really work with a large set of data, definitely that has to be with the files. It could be a text file, doc file, or Excel files. We mainly concentrate on the text files. And another important topics that to be covered is object-oriented programming. Until now, whatever we have covered, that generally comes under procedure-oriented. Python being a both procedure as well as object-oriented. This object-oriented programming is another very important topic. This is the advanced level of code reusability and the security for the data what they provided with this object-oriented principles. There are 4 important objectives or the principles of object-oriented programming. What it is important you need to cover is encapsulation, and then we have inheritance, and then we have a polymorphism, and then we have abstraction or abstract classes. This is what the important, very basic important topics if you are really want to work with extensive programming in Python, are 90% of, if you are preparing for the interviews and all, 90% of the questions, definitely 90 to 95% of the questions will be covered in these topics. Of course, there are little extra topics also is there. That is not very important. As a language, you can learn those topics until object-oriented programming is what is very important. Of course, other topics I can list out. We have exception handling, and we have regular expressions, and we have threads and interfaces. So once you complete all these things until the object-oriented programming, little time you can spend on all these things, but not as important as this one. If you are really going for the very depth of in-depth programming, definitely the regular expressions and the exception handling really help you on. If you want to go for the graphical user interfaces, any touch kind of a thing, or mouse-based operations, definitely the UI, graphical user interface, are going to help. Okay, this is what is important to be a Python programmer. This is what I cover in all of my Python learning. Thank you.